Well, hey, welcome everybody to our March 2025 meeting for the Google Educator Group of Ohio, GEG Ohio. Just sneaking this one in the last day of March. That doesn't happen often. Usually it's like a Thursday or a Wednesday, and who knows what day that falls on. This month it was pretty busy, so we wound up on a Monday, and I realize it's spring break for a lot of people. So for those that joined us, hey, thanks for being here. I'm glad you were able to make this work. Now, hey, if you're joining us live, fantastic. Some people may be watching the recording of that. That's great as well. I just appreciate the fact that you're taking the time, whatever the case, to learn with us. For those that are here, though, I see a lot of people active in the chat. Please keep doing that. Feel free to introduce yourself, say where you're from, and if there's anything you want to share, that's fine as well. But I'm seeing we've got Georgia, we've got California already popping up on the list. Montreal, that's awesome. Always good to be international. We've got Virginia, I see several Ohio folks. So feel free to say hi in the chat, introduce yourself, and use that as a way to communicate throughout the session. So for those that are new, which we may have some folks new, I'll keep this real brief though. What is GEG Ohio? So this is a monthly meeting, typically monthly meeting, where we look at everything new in Google for education. We have a document that you'll see here that I have dropped into the chat a couple of times. So you probably already have been able to pull that up. If not, I will drop it in one more time into the chat there just for convenience sake for folks. And you can always get to this also right from the GEG Ohio website, which is bit.ly/GEG Ohio. I'll go ahead and pop on over to that site real quick just to show you what that looks like. From the GEG Ohio website, there's a monthly meetings link. From there, at the bottom is a Google Sheet that has the links to each of these meetings. So here's March 31st. The agenda link is right there. You can always find those there. This document is editable if you're a member of the GEG Ohio community. Otherwise, I have enabled comment rights. So either way, you can add to this document, and we encourage you to do so. There's a couple key places probably you'd want to do that. I would say things like the upcoming events. If you're aware of conferences or trainings or webinars that people can take advantage of, that's a great place to drop things. Another would be the show and tell section. And here there's a section called Community Show and Tell, and you can add in any cool tips or tricks or resources. And there's a tab called Q&A. So if you got questions or if you got answers to questions, you can fill that out as well. So this document hopefully will serve well for us all to be able to communicate throughout the session. With that said, let's do some quick introductions. So, hi, my name is Eric. I work at the Stark County Educational Service Center, technically SPARC, the ITC, the Information Technology Center associated with the Stark County ESC. We're up here in Northeast Ohio, and my job is to help support educators in using technology in their classrooms, as well as other things related to that. Big focus on Google tools and products. And I'm joined by John. John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm John. I work up in the northwest corner of Ohio, although my accent originally from England via Australia, but most people get used to the accent after a while, the Aussie that is in the Ohio GEG. And we do a similar function to what Eric does. We're an educational agency, and we service 40 school districts in northwest Ohio. Welcome
Fantastic.
to the end of March meeting.
That's right. Well, we've got the top right and left corners of the state held up. So that's good. At the moment, we will keep it supported that way in the meeting. All right. Well, hey, let's get on into this. I'm just going to run down through the tabs on the left-hand side. There's a couple of housekeeping things we'll hit here real quick before we get into the main meat of this. If you don't see those tabs on the side, the document tabs, If they're collapsed, there's a little button in the top you can click on, and that will expand those out. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and take us off of the screen since you don't need to see us, and that will allow us to focus a little bit more on the document itself. All right, let's get on into this. So first thing up, we did our welcome and intros. Of course, all our contact info is there. Important links. Here's where I'd point out we do have a sign-in form. This allows me to send a certificate of attendance to you. So when you get a moment, you can do it right now. You can do it at any point that works for you. Give a click on that link. It'll bring up a Google form. Just fill in your key information and, of course, today's date. And sometime between now and the next meeting, I will generate a PDF certificate of attendance to send out to you. Next up, group updates. Just to remind you folks that we do have a Google group that you can join so that you can communicate between the meetings. We have close to 1,700 members in this group. It's fantastic. It's a great way to ask questions or share resources or stay in the loop, having conversations during the time when we are not having our meetings. And that is a very popular way to communicate. So please consider joining that group if you haven't done so already. Next up, we've got upcoming events. Some of these are a little more Ohio specific since this is GEG Ohio. But again, I want to make it very, very clear. You do not have to be from Ohio to participate in this group. As long as you have an interest in Google for Education, we're happy that you're here. But yeah, this section probably is a little bit more Ohio specific. I won't mention too much here. I'll throw out a couple of quick things. The first thing is the SequoiaCon virtual conference. So this wouldn't matter where you're at. You can be anywhere and you can attend that. I do have a link in here to the website as well as the blog post. I'll be doing a session at SequoiaCon. That's coming up here in about a week. If you are local-ish to the Northeast Ohio area, we have the HICE conference, the High Impact Conference for Educators in June. This is the one that used to be two separate conferences. There was the HICE conference that our ESC puts on, and there was the Spark conference that the ITC puts on. Well, we've joined forces together, and now we're just one big conference, and that'll be early in June. The call for proposals is still open. I believe we're hoping to start to wrap that up here in the first week of April. We certainly can be flexible there with folks. I totally understand that, but we would love it if people can try to get their sessions submitted by the end of this upcoming week, April 4th. Totally get it. If you need a little bit of extra time, we're certainly happy to work with you, but that would allow us to plan much better if we can get these in sooner rather than later. Just for a little clarification, it is an in-person conference. This one is in-person, face-to-face. There is one option, though, for presenters. You can, if you don't live in Ohio, if you're not close by, we do have options for you to present virtually. So we will set up a couple of rooms at the conference where it'll be like a virtual room, and people just know that. They know if you go into this room, there's not going to be a person standing there. There's going to be a screen, and the person's going to be joining through Google Meet. And so if you would like to present at this conference, and you're like, well, Eric, I don't live in Northeast Ohio. I can't quite get there. Go ahead and fill out that form anyway. One of the options in there does ask that. I believe it is. Oh, I'd have to find it. It's somewhere in there. But yeah, at some spot in there, it talks about where are you at locally, or if you are from a distance away, and you can fill that out. There it is. Yes, very very beginning. I live outside of Ohio and need to present virtually, so you can do that, and we would welcome. Maybe somebody listening right now on this meeting couldn't make it there in person, but you'd still like to share your expertise. We would love to learn from you and learn with you for that. Of course, ISTE coming up at the end of June. All my sessions at the moment, you can check out the link there. And the GTEC Summit with Port Clinton Schools, August 5th. There's the website for that one. And of course, all around the state of Ohio, we have a bunch of AI summits coming up throughout April and May. Here's the registration for those and the dates and locations for those. I believe I will be at most all of those events. I think I'm going to be at all of them. So hopefully, if you're going to be at them, I will catch you at one or the other. John, did you just add in the Create conference?
Yeah, I just added the Create conference. It's on June the 5th. That's at Maumee High School, and it's a good small conference in the Toledo area. It's one that we try to go to every year, and there'll be 3 or 4 Northern Buckeye people from my organization presenting at that one, and also at the GTech Summit, which is towards the end of the summer at Port Clinton. But both of those,
nice.
we will have people presenting at those events.
Fantastic. Excellent. Very, very good. Well, folks, if you do have something to add, this is a great tab to do it. Feel free to add any other upcoming conferences, webinars, events you're aware of. And if you don't have something to add, hopefully there's one here you can participate in. We would love to see you and learn with you at any of these upcoming events. All right, well, that brings us now to the main meat of our meeting, which is what's new in Google Workspace for Education. So in this section, basically, this is the main reason that we do these meetings, is to catch you up on what has happened in the last month. Google is constantly rolling out new features, new tools, new updates, making changes to their products. And we don't want you to get caught off guard. We want to make sure that you know what's changing so you can communicate it properly to your staff, as well as use it for yourself, just to make sure that we're making the most out of everything that Google offers. So each month we keep an eye on anything that gets announced and we throw it in this document. Now I'm doing something a little different this time. So you'll notice there's 2 tabs. There's a what's new by date and a what's new by topic. I'm going to present out of the what's new by topic tab this time. I don't know, the last couple of times I feel like I'm just jumping around too much as I go chronologically through, that we kind of lose the thread sometimes, because it'll jump from one tool to another and then back to the other and over to another, just because that makes sense. That's how things are chronologically released each month. So I still have this tab here. I'll probably leave it in for the time being. If you just want to see chronologically since the last meeting, everything that got announced, that's there. But for, I think, my sanity, and maybe just to make it easier for you guys to process, I have a second tab where I've rearranged these updates by topic. So general, then Drive, Docs, Slides, Chat, Gmail, Calendar, Vids, Meet, NotebookLM, and Gemini. And of course, these topics may be very different every month. It just depends upon what gets released, but that's what there was for this month. So that's what I'm going to go. I'm going to go through the topic version of it, and maybe that'll let us kind of camp out on a topic a little bit longer as we go through. With that said, I'm not going to cover everything here. That's always the way it's been. If it has a bolding on the date, those are the ones I picked to talk about. Doesn't mean they're the most important, but they're the ones that I thought were the most valuable for you. Please let us know if there's something we're skipping over and you want to talk about it. Drop it in the YouTube chat, drop a comment on the document here. That's fine. Or just check out the link yourself. All these links are here, and you can explore these on your own. With that, John, please jump in at any point if there's something that you want to expand on or ask about or comment on. Please do that. And the same thing with our audience. Everybody out there, if you've tried some of these things, if you've got an opinion on these things, we would love to hear your thoughts. All right, let's go ahead and get on into it. So first up, we've got the general, I guess, kind of a grab bag, things that I didn't want to put like one bullet point all by itself, you know. So a couple of quick things out of here. First of all, just a reminder, this is probably more for the tech administrators. Don't forget, we are now officially into that spot where you now need to reconfirm which additional services you are turning on for users under the age of 18. This is no surprise. Anybody that is a Google admin, you've seen this every time you go into the admin console. But when you go in there, you'll get this big red, bar at the top that's saying, hey, if somebody's under the age of 18, they can't use services unless you've turned them on. So nope, my phone over here just heard me talking and thought I wanted to answer. So John, we have another co-host. Google Gemini has joined us as a co-host. My phone has decided to do that. May happen occasionally throughout the meeting. But so just to explain this really quick, I will not spend a lot of time, because my guess is if you've seen this, you already know what this is. But here's the gist. Google has always, this is not a new thing, they have always required that you get parental permission. If you're going to have somebody under the 18 using Google products, you've got to have parental permission. That's not new. Kind of the new thing is that now you have to reconfirm every year. It's not a one and done thing. Like, okay, hey, we asked way back when, and that's it. So it's like you basically have to go in every year and say, yes, I have reconfirmed that the children under the age of 18 are allowed to use these what we call additional services. Now, those are different than the core services. So you don't have to do this for like Gmail and Drive. That we're assuming is that's being covered in your typical technology agreement that goes home each fall with the students to their parents. What they're saying is that for additional services, ones that are not covered by Google's core service licensing agreement with schools, it is up to schools to explicitly get permission for those. That's things like YouTube, Google Translate, Google Photos, Google Books, Google Earth. There's quite a few in there. And you can find that in your admin console when you go in there. It's, the category that is the additional services. And again, that image I brought up there showed you a couple really quick, Google Domains, Google Earth, things like that. Now, if you are just building that right into your tech letter that goes home each fall that says, hey, parents, sign here to give permission for your child to use these services. Great. That's fantastic. But you still need to go in and reconfirm that in the admin console. I don't want people to panic, though, when you see this and go, whoa, hold on. YouTube, Google Translate? Oh, my gosh, Google Earth. If you're saying, this is a concern, if we don't get parents to sign this, does that mean our students can't watch educational YouTube videos? No. That is not what that means. You do need to dig a little deeper to see what's actually part of the service. All that means is like, if you don't have this parental permission, a student couldn't create a YouTube channel, upload their own videos. Probably something they're not already doing, that's something that you're probably not having the students do. Can they still watch YouTube videos? Yeah, like you can embed YouTube videos into Google Classroom. You can embed YouTube videos into, Google Slides, so you can still provide YouTube videos to the students to watch, but they're just not going to have the full capability you would have. Same thing with like Google Translate. They can still use translation services like inside of Google Docs, but they wouldn't be able to go to the Translate website, for example. So just for clarification, it's not that you're throwing out the entire tool, but it is limiting. If you don't have this approved, it will limit some of the things they can do. Okay.
Eric,
I said I wouldn't go too far, but I did. go ahead, John. Yeah.
Miss Lee is asking about Gemini. Would that be included in these ones for over 18s?
So just to jump ahead for a moment, we'll cover this later. Short answer is Gemini is no longer an additional service. We'll talk about this more later down here, but this is now going to be part of the core apps. So
and I think related to that, although I didn't see, and maybe we talked about it last month and I don't remember, but our colleague John Sowash from Michigan shared with me that Get Gemini chats are now included in Google Vault and what is retained for, and that would be consistent with it becoming a core service. Then.
Yeah, we'll hit that a little bit more later, but the short answer is Gemini is no longer an additional service for anyone with a school account. It is now a core service. So no, you don't have to worry about that for additional services. All right. I said I wouldn't talk a lot and I did about it. So let's keep moving. So the next two, and do exactly that. Thank you, Miss Lee, for asking that question, and John for interrupting me there. Do exactly that. Anybody with any comments, any questions, the more you ask, the more valuable this is going to be. Because if you're curious, I guarantee you there's a dozen other people that are wondering the same question. So please ask. All right. Excellent. So the next two things under general are sad. I'm sorry to say this. But yes, the Google graveyard has two more headstones that have appeared, and that is Applied Digital Skills and CS First. So a little different between both of these. Applied Digital Skills will live on in a format. CS First will not. So here's the thing. I got these as emails this week. So what I'm linking to is not a traditional blog post. Google did not decide to make a blog post about this. Instead, they sent an email out. And so you may have gotten one too and just didn't notice it, but they sent an email out to most of the users saying, hey, heads up, changes are happening. What I linked to were the help pages that are associated with this. So it's a little different than a traditional blog post, but it'll still cover the main idea. So with Applied Digital Skills, if you're not familiar with it, oh my gosh, I love Applied Digital Skills. Of course, I have to be able to spell it correctly. That would always help. But Applied Digital Skills, I've trained on this dozens and dozens of times. I try to share it all the time with people. Basically, it is over 200 completely free lessons on technology topics for adults as well as for students. And each lesson is has with it pre-made videos that walk you through the entire project. So you can come in here and say, yeah, I want to learn how to organize my Google Drive, or I want to make a presentation, or I want to create a budget in Google Sheets, or I want to make a resume, or whatever. All of these different just daily tasks that people might need to do. Well, if you come in here and click on any of these, you'll see they have videos, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos that are typically 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes long or so. And they just walk you through step by step by step, and they teach you the entire thing. It is fantastic for your own self-paced professional development. It's fantastic to integrate into your lessons with students. If you want to incorporate technology, but you don't have the content, you can just pull from Applied Digital Skills. So with that being said, as much as I absolutely love this, I am just as equally sad to see that they are sort of shutting it down. So here's what's happening. What they're going to do is they're shutting down the site. The Applied Digital Skills site itself, that is shutting down. And what they're doing is they're claiming that they're going to move a large amount. Well, they're saying the majority. They're going to move the majority of the lessons over to a new platform where they'll still be accessible. So you may say, well, what's the big deal? Well, basically, here's what it comes down to. What they're doing is they're separating the lessons from the management system. So you can just come here and you can just say, hey, I want to learn how to make a budget in Google Sheets, and you can watch these right now today perfectly fine. Well, guess what? You're still going to be able to do that. We are not losing that. It's going to be a different link. It won't be this website, but you'll still be able to go in and watch the videos and go through the projects. What you're not noticing here is that you can actually sign into Applied Digital Skills, and you can track things like track students' completion of these projects. You can, you can manage things. You can push out content to your students. So basically, this is its own light LMS, learning management system. I was almost going to say LLM, large language model. No, learning management system. This is its own light LMS. What Google is saying is, hey, you got to use your own LMS now. You got to use Classroom or Canvas or Schoology or Moodle. You got to link these in yourself. So we're going to leave the content. You got to pick up the management end of it. So that's a shame. I did see Beth mentioned that the teacher dashboard going away is a big bummer. Beth, I agree with you. It's a nice dashboard. It helps you see things you can't see otherwise. Like, I could always push this out through Classroom, but I couldn't tell for sure where the students are actually watching the videos or doing whatever. And the dashboard showed me that. It showed me which lessons they've been working on, what they've watched, what they've done. So yeah, we are losing that management feature, which that's a bummer. I am glad, though, that they are at least going to preserve the majority of the lessons. So what does that mean? What's not going to make the cut? Well, from what I understand, it's going to be things that have gotten outdated. So there are some in here. If you go in and you say, hey, sort this by date. So if I come in here and say, let's sort by most recent. So if I were to scroll way down to the bottom, and I get down to, the very early ones, these were the ones that were put out. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember how many years ago. It has been so long because I used to do tons of trainings on these. So it's been a long time. Let's just put it that way. It was pre-COVID, so way back when. Some of these, unfortunately, yeah, they probably are outdated. Some of these, they reference menus that have changed. They reference features that aren't quite the same. So I would not be surprised to see some of these older ones not make the transition over to the new system, just because, yeah, they're probably not as valuable as the ones that are current and up to date. Now, having said that, if you have a favorite and you're like, oh, I don't want to lose that favorite, remember, this has always been completely Creative Commons, meaning you have absolutely 100% free right to download and save anything from this tool. So if you say, you know what, I absolutely loved this Write an If Then Adventure Story one. I know it's really old. I'm afraid they're going to cut it. You can go in and you can click on the videos here. And for each video, I won't play the video. There. You can come in and you can hit the little dot, the 3 dots, and you can hit download. You can download any of this stuff. It is completely Creative Commons, so you're allowed to do that freely with no problem whatsoever. So you can go in and you can grab all of the resources from any one of these here. I think probably under the details section, there may also be, maybe it wasn't on there. Usually there's a, oh, here we go. There's the lesson plan, so you can download the lesson. I knew it was there somewhere. There's the lesson plan. There's the rubric. So you can go in and grab all that stuff if you're nervous about something disappearing. This will happen June 30th. So you got a little bit of time. So April, May, June, 3 months to go in and grab stuff if you need to do that. Aside from that, I'd say the only other negative is I kind of get the feeling this means probably nothing new is going to come. I think they didn't say that here. I kind of get the feeling if they're moving it to this new thing and they're divorcing it from the management system and they're purging old content, they don't say it, but I kind of get nervous. That means they might not make anything new. And if so, that's a shame because this is good stuff. I would appreciate, even if they do move to this, well, when they move to the new system, I would love it if they would still put out new units because this is high quality stuff. I'm not sure. I'm a little nervous about that this might just be it. Like, okay, we're done. What's here is here and enjoy it, and that's it. I don't know. Now, CS First, unfortunately, it's a worse situation. They're just shutting it down. I mean, it's gone. They are just shutting it down. They're not transferring it somewhere else. All those lessons, they're gone. They're going to be gone June 30th. So yeah. So that unfortunately really is going to shut down.
I guess.
Yep.
To mention, they've had some fairly solid competition for CS First from code.org, and so it remains an alternative. But depending if you want to teach coding, what I liked about CS First was that you had that a Scratch was built into the so you could be working in Scratch, and they had a Scratch player that was built in, and then you could piggyback onto agreements if you had students that were under the age of 13. Then because you could provision that through Google, it meant that the younger students could do coding. So you can use Scratch, which is from MIT, but they do have that 13 age limit, so I'm not sure if they have some ways around that. But code.org does have provisioning with Google Classroom and works very well. But and they do Scratch programming, but it's not integrated like it was in CS First.
Exactly. And Google has likewise said, even though they're shutting this down, they've committed to quite a lot of money for the next couple of years supporting the Raspberry Pi Foundation's new curriculum called Experience CS. And it's building Scratch-based learning units in a safe, scaffolded environment, freely available to ages 8 to 14. So it's more of Google saying, hey, listen, we're not going to do it, but we're going to help support. We're going to help fund this. And somebody else is going to run it, but at least we're going to make sure they get off to a good start. So this could be another alternative that you could use in place of CS First. All right. Good stuff. All right. Good stuff. All right. Well, with that said, I mean, I'm sorry. It's not happy. It's not good. But at least I hope it gets everybody caught up so that you're not caught off guard by that when this happens. Well, let's try to move on to more positive things. I think everything else is pretty positive. Now, please, again, check out all the other updates. I'm skipping over a bunch of these, but I think there's good ones in here. Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Slides. There's some neat stuff there. I just didn't think they were enough for me to call out. So the next thing that I was going to mention real quick was just a little bit on Google Vids. There's a bunch of updates. They've added new voiceover voices to pick from. They've added looping animations, blah, blah, blah. I was going to mention two quick things. One was they've got a what they're calling the Google Vids Education Film Festival. Now, what this is, basically, it's Google trying to, understandably, get a little hype going, get a little momentum, get a little excitement going about vids. I think this is more of a PR move, probably, like, hey, let's get people excited about Google Vids. And so what they're doing is they're encouraging educators to create a video with Google Vids and to submit their short film that they create with Google Vids to show off their video creation skills and have this competition. So basically, you do have to have access to Vids, which, remember, that is something that has limitations as to who has access to Vids. Remember, we put in these little emojis next to all of these different updates. The little plus emoji here is reminding you that these are for Google Plus. I really probably should just put the plus. Whoops, sorry about that. I should put the plus emoji next to this as well, because technically, if you don't have Google Plus, the Plus tier of Google Workspace for Education, if you don't have Education Plus, you don't have access to Vids. So if you have the free version or one of the others like Standard or Teaching and Learning, you're not going to have access to this. So that definitely does limit that. I understand. But the point is, if you do have access to it, you can create a video and pick a category that you want to submit that to. And I believe they're due by May 15th. So about a month and a half on that. You can get all the details there. Might be something fun to try out. And speaking anyway of Google Vids, the one quick one I was going to mention was they have continued to improve their Help Me Create feature. Now, this is only if you have the Gemini upgrade for Google Vids. So Plus is not enough for this. You actually have to have the Gemini upgrade for it. That's where you can go into Vids and it will basically build the video for you. And then you just go in and adjust it. The big update this time is just that they have added automatic voiceovers. It used to be when you had Help Me make a video for you, it would create, all the different, pieces of the video, but it would leave it up to you to still do the voiceovers. They're just automatically adding those in now. So just to show you what that would look like, I asked Google Vids to do this for me. So here is my Google Vids here, and it was this one here, food webs for fifth graders. All I did was I went in I'll show you what I did. I went in here and I said, I want to make a new video, and I chose the Help Me Create option. And that's, again, because of the Gemini upgrade. And you just basically type in what you want. And I said, make a video explaining food webs in a way that would be understandable and engaging for fifth grade students. I believe that was what my prompt was. And then after doing that, it did that. It created this food webs for fifth graders. But the point of what I'm saying is it didn't just create the whole thing like it's done in the past. It also automatically added all the voiceovers into it. Now, I would still need to go through and personalize this. This is still very much a skeletal template. It's got good content, but it's got a tons of placeholders. It'll use the same video over and over and over again as a placeholder. I'll just play a teeny little bit of it just so you can hear what the voiceover sounds like. So this is what it sounds like. Once it starts, it's still thinking. Give it a second to start. It's spinning. I don't know why it's spinning.
Welcome to our exploration of food webs. In this video, we'll learn about food webs, their components, and why they're so important. A food web is a diagram that shows the feeding relationships between organisms in an ecosystem.
All right. So basically, again, that is what happens now. If you pick the Help Me Create option, it'll actually do all the voiceovers for you there. Now, keep in mind, you still have total control over this. Obviously, you can edit anything here. I can go in and change the text. Obviously, I should change the media and even the voiceover itself. If I come over here to the scripts section, this is what's being said there. I can use the record myself option, which that's included for everybody. That's part of the, you don't need the Gemini feature to record it yourself. The generate voiceover, that's you have to have the Gemini add-on for that. And that allows you to pick from like a dozen different voices and have it speak for you. But you could absolutely do the recording on your own. Yeah, Beth had asked about that. Is voiceovers Gemini add-on only for generating a computerized one? Your own voice, no, you can always do that yourself. So, but that's it. Just wanted you to know it's nice. Honestly, I think Vids is a very nice tool. I do think the Gemini add-on really makes it easy. If you don't have that, it's great. It is a good tool, but wow, if you do have the Gemini add-on, it just saves like a ridiculous amount of time to get you started. You still need to go in and clean it up and put in your own personality and record some stuff of your own voice and swap out some images and stuff. But wow, it does a really good job of getting you started. All right. Well, after that, a couple of things with Meet, but I only picked one of them. So feel free to check out all these Meet updates. I only picked one of them, and the one I picked is the one that's free for everybody. So I tried to pick something that everybody could enjoy, and this is actually pretty clever. Google Meet is now going to be changing how the tiles are laid out to what they're calling a dynamic layout. And so basically, here's the idea. They started realizing, hey, you know what? We are probably not making the most use of our real estate. That a lot of times it's just somebody's face, and instead of, being in more of like a landscape, a tile or a square tile, we could probably get away with more portrait type tiles. And so that's basically the idea here, is that now with this dynamic layout, what's going to start happening is when people are joining a Meet, it's going to try to optimize the tile so that you can see just the person's face better, providing more room for other people. And then it even goes further. I don't know if this is the GIF that shows it or not. It might not be, but they even go further and show how you can, pin exactly what you want to pin and really turn it into a very customizable layout of tiles. It might be in the video. I'm not going to play the video because we'll probably get a YouTube strike if I do, because that's actually Google's YouTube video there. But you can watch it and you can see, like here, you can see all the different tile sizes and stuff that are available there. So basically, it's going to be a much more dynamic layout. So that's awesome. That's great. Anything that allows people to see each other better, I think that's great. Next up, NotebookLM. Just one thing on that, but I think it's pretty cool. So NotebookLM has added a couple of new features here, and these are available to everybody. I don't believe any of these were Plus only. Yeah, because NotebookLM, anybody can use it with education. There is a paid version of NotebookLM. I just wanted to double check. No, this does not. Everybody's able to do this new stuff. So Yeah. And this is something weird. And I apologize, guys. I meant to look into this further. A lot of these have been saying for education, they've been listing fundamentals, standard, and plus. And I don't know why, but over the last couple of weeks, they've been leaving off teaching and learning. And I don't know why. So technically, these three I should have applied to this. Apologies for that. But the teaching and learning one, I don't think I think it's a mistake. I think this is a typo because there's no reason to give it to free users and not give it to teaching and learning. So like if it's for free people, it has to be for the paid people too. It's not like, oh, you paid for teaching and learning, we're going to take away that thing we gave you for free. So this has to be a typo, but you're going to see I've probably got 5 or 6 of them where that's what happened, was that's how they were listed. And I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm going to say safely, yes, we should be able to take the teaching and learning. That should be included here. Obviously, if it's free, it should be for everybody. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in all these spots here. I don't know why they left it out. It doesn't make sense because if it's free, everybody should be able to access it. So what are the new things? 2 new things. Okay. So the first is mind maps. So if you're in here, let me pull one of these up here. Let me go to NotebookLM. Oh, let me just grab, sure, I'll grab the one on the Cold War. I use this one a lot of times, so I'll just grab this one. So here's a notebook with a whole bunch of content on the Cold War. So we've got slideshows about the Cold War, study guides about the Cold War. We've got a YouTube video about the Cold War. So if I was a social studies teacher teaching about this, I can do all the normal things, chatting with it, generating, study guides and all that stuff. Well, this is the new button here, the mind map button. Now, I went ahead and created this already, so I'll just click on the one I created. But basically what it does is it reads through all of your content and it builds a mind map from it. So from the Cold War, here are some key things that we could explore further. Origins, the Cold War heats up, the Korean War, continuing Cold War, post-war. And then for each one of those, if there's an arrow next to it, I can click on the arrow and it'll break that out. So do you want to dive deeper into the origins? Okay, let's talk about critical events, post-war goals, Iron Curtain, blah, 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 blah. So on any one of these, as long as there's an arrow, you can go deeper. So I could keep hitting that and just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. At any point, I can click on one of these. Now, when I do that, it's going to literally run a prompt. It's going to request to NotebookLM, hey, let's grab the Iron Curtain and tell me about it. So if I click on the Iron Curtain, now it's saying, discuss what these sources have to say about the Iron Curtain in the larger context of the origins of the Cold War. And so now for any particular tab or node, any particular node in the mind map, I can now get this really nice overview of that here. And then I can pop back into the mind map and keep on going. So for those that learn visually, I think this is great, but also just the fact that you can click on any one of these and have it actually run, a query, a prompt that says, hey, tell me all about Sputnik. You bet. Boom. It's now going to read through everything. And now it's generating a report for the Sputnik node of that mind map. So that's nice. I like that. I think that's really useful. The second thing is they've added a new output language selector. So that one's kind of hidden. It's up here in the settings, output language, just the fact that they're supporting many, many more languages. So you can change the language of what gets generated. All right. So that's it for NotebookLM. Now at this point, as you can tell, the last month, yeah, it's pretty much Gemini all the time. So I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to see if there's any questions before we just dive headlong into everything new with Gemini, because that's pretty much what Google's been doing this last month. But is there something I skipped over that we wanted to talk about from general, Drive, Docs, Slides, Chat, Gmail, Calendar, Vids, Meet, anything else? John, did you notice anything that I might have missed before we really dive into Gemini? And if not, no worries. I just didn't want to miss something if there were any.
Lakeisha had a question said that NotebookLM is one of my new favorites. And she's going to use it to onboard the new teachers, which kind of reminded me, again, be very careful if you're going to use it, and do not put any kind of student information up into that system, because it is a public system.
Now, keep in mind, though, we're going to be talking about that to a degree also.
Correct.
When we get in Gemini about data protections.
Right.
So NotebookLM, depending upon the version that you're using, depending upon your tier of Google for Education, NotebookLM can fall under that same data privacy protection.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to remember where the cutoff is, and I apologize. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I know if you have Plus for sure, but I'm not sure where the cutoff is. But NotebookLM does fall under the data privacy protections depending on the tier of workspace that you have. In that case, then you would have additional data privacy protections in your use of NotebookLM as well.
That's good to know. Thank you.
It is. Yeah. All right. So let's do a little Gemini. This looks like a lot. I promise I'm going to keep this quick. Some of these are duplicates. They're just the same content in 2 different blog posts. So it's not as big as it looks, but I'm going to try to hit the main things. And also, here's the key thing. I hope you notice when you're looking here, all of the icons, the emojis, a lot of this, it's free, 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 free. So a lot of this stuff is basically Google saying, hey, guess what? You know that awesome thing we created in Gemini, and we said, look at this cool thing, which, by the way, you can't use because you don't pay for something. Guess what? We're going to make it free. That's pretty much what they did this last month. So I'm happy about that. I can get behind that. I'm excited to see a lot of things that used to be paid only are now totally free for everybody, and that's good. All right, so let's just run through this really quick and see what kind of stuff we've got here. So the first one, so extending file upload to Gemini app users. So basically, what we're saying here is that, and I know we've mentioned this in the past, that being able to upload files into Gemini used to be a paid option. Like you could not do that unless you paid money. You could upload images. That's all the free version would let you do. Well, now they're saying, guess what? Everybody can upload all of these different types of files. And so totally free. You do not need to pay whatsoever. You can upload docs, PDFs, rich text files, things created for text files, PowerPoints, Google Slides. So good news. That's just such a positive thing. I'm so happy to see that. So for example, let me see if I can pull up my work account here. Let me find it real quick. Let me grab my work account. This is my personal account in the background. The blue is my work account. If I go to Gemini on my work account, you'll now see the little plus button there. And there it is, images, files, and drive. So, yep. And I do not pay on the work. This account I do not pay for. This one is just standard education, regular one. So that's my work account. This one is my personal account. And then the other one I have here is a education account, but it's one that I do pay for. This is from my my Google Trainer domain. So I can compare all of them. This is personal, this is education paid, and this is education free. So we can see each of those as comparisons if we ever need to double check something. But there you go. There it is. File upload. That I think is so important because that was for me, that was a big drawback when I would do AI trainings and I would talk about, hey, let's say you have this giant PDF that you want to get, summarized for you. Well, I would have to pop over to ChatGPT or Claude because both ChatGPT and Claude, that's free. That is in the free version of ChatGPT and Claude. And it wasn't in Gemini, only image upload. And that was a real bummer because this is so nice to be able to come here and say, hey, I want to upload a file. And you can upload, a 200-page PDF and ask it, hey, summarize this for me or help me analyze this or whatever. And the fact that they provide that for free in NotebookLM kind of didn't make sense. Why would they not also provide it in Gemini if it was free in NotebookLM, on a much greater scale? So I am so glad to see that that is now available. So definitely take advantage of the file upload features inside of Gemini. All right, good stuff. What else? More free stuff. Deep research and gems are now free. So I told you guys, it's like Christmas. It's Christmas in March. So 2 more things that used to be completely behind the paywall. Not anymore. Now, with education fundamentals, and again, they didn't mention teaching and learning, but it has to be an oversight because again, they wouldn't make it free and not in that. So it doesn't make sense. So basically it's free. It's free. So now gems are free and deep research is free. Okay. So let me explain what those are. So when it comes to gems, those are basically the same thing as what ChatGPT called custom GPTs. So if you've used ChatGPT and you've created a custom GPT, that's what a Google Gem is. Now it's over here on the side on the panel, Gem Manager. If you click there, what that'll do here, I'll make this a little bigger so we can actually see this here. What it does is it opens up the Gem Manager, and they've got a bunch of pre-made ones here, like a brainstormer and a writing editor and a learning coach. But the key is you can make your own. And what is it? What is this? Well, here's the idea. Let's say you go to Gemini and you find yourself constantly or frequently asking the same question. Like, I find myself going to Gemini all the time and asking it to do XYZ for me day after day after day. And every time I have to, prompt it with this detailed prompt to do this thing, whatever it is, grading a paper or generating a certain content. Well, you could go to Gems now and say, I want to build a gem that does that for me. So I could say, I want a new gem. You give it a name, you describe what you want it to do, and you can upload up to 10 files in there. You're basically building a reusable AI chatbot. So I don't have any on this account here, but I could show you. Let me see if I can find what I could show you here. Let me find my gems page here. Give me just a second. I know you can't see it. It's on another screen. I'm just trying to find it. So like here on my personal account, I've had gems for, quite a lot longer on my personal account. Like I've got the AI interview gem. I've got the emoji suggestions gem, the debate coach gem. So like the AI interview gem, what is this? Well, basically what this is, you've probably seen me do this before. I do the training where I talk about, hey, you could have AI pretend to be a historical figure or a character from a book or an animal that you're learning about in class, and the students can interview the AI. Well, I have this really big prompt that I put in when I do that. And I always have to find the prompt, copy the prompt, paste the prompt. They said, what if I just made a gem that had that already in there? So here it is. This is the AI interview gem. And it says, this is your goal. You are to facilitate an interview experience for students. You're going to embody a chosen role, and you're going to encourage critical thinking among the students. So begin by asking the teacher the age of the students, inquire about the role they should be playing, and then be that role and answer questions that the students give you and have a concise, age-appropriate tone and so forth. So I was able to set it up once. And now if I ever wanted to do an AI interview activity, I wouldn't have to be like, oh, shoot, where's that prompt? I need that good prompt. I could just go to Gems, click on AI interview, and basically get going. So I'll say hello, and it'll probably say something like, hey, I'm ready to facilitate this. Tell me the age range of your students and the role you want me to play. So I could say something like, ages 10 to 11. And then, yeah, I can type, how bad my typing is. And then I could say, B. Wilbur from Charlotte's Web or something like that. And so now it knows the age range, and now it knows that it's going to be Wilbur. And boom, there we go. We're off and running into our interview. So that's the nice thing. These are, if you find yourself doing something again and again and again and again and again, a gem might be a good solution for you because you can customize it, you can add files to it, and then boom, you can just use it anytime you need to use it. At the moment, the only drawback is I have not found a way to share gyms with other people. And I don't think I'm missing it. I just don't think it's there. Like, I don't believe that feature exists because I've never been able to do that. It's just like, this is for you to use personally rather than, so that needs to happen. I think right now this is cool, but until Google makes these gyms shareable, I think it's not going to reach its full potential. Because like right now, if I go to ChatGPT and I create a custom GPT, I can make it shareable so other people can interact with it. That's really where I think the ultimate benefit becomes is like, hey, I made this really nice gym. I want to share it with my colleagues. I want to share this with other people so they can interact with it and benefit from it. It's got to be coming. I'm sure they're going to add that. I can't imagine that they're not going to add that. I'm just saying right now, I think that is a shortcoming that would be great to get overcome. Miss Lee said, is this where I would say I'm a 9th grade social studies teacher and include a generic rubric so I don't have to reprompt it every time? Yeah. So the question is, could this be used for like a rubric? I think that would be a really good example. Like if I said, you know what, I'm going to create a new gym here, and the name of it is going to be something like, essay grader and feedback or something like that. And then basically I could come in here and I could say, I want to upload, and I could come here and I could upload a file. So if I have my rubric, I could upload my rubric, and then I could come here and I could explain what it is I'm looking for. I could say, okay, I want you to take the rubric that I've uploaded, and I want you to give a grade to this essay, and I want you to provide feedback in a friendly manner to help students see what they did well and where they could still improve things. And that's it. You set it up once, and you don't have to do that every single time. You can now just run this, paste in the student's work, and boom, it knows what it's doing automatically. So yes, that's the idea. That's the thought behind that. All right. Good stuff. So that's new. The other thing that's new, or should be, that's free. Gyms are now free. The other thing that's now free is deep research. So what is deep research? Okay, well, let me find my tab again here. Hold on. Let me get back to my tab here. There we go. Pull this one back over. So deep research, let's get back to, go ahead. Come on. Hey, let go. There we go. Deep research is up here in the top drop-down menu. So if you go up to the Gemini drop-down, 2.0 Flash is the normal. That's the normal chatbot. That's the normal model that you're talking to, the 2.0 Flash. Deep research is a specialized version of Gemini that is for, well, as the title implies, deep research. Okay, so what is this? Here's the idea. Rather than just asking a simple question like, hey, create a lesson plan for me or make a rubric or something, what if you had a question that's a lot more complicated that would benefit from maybe reviewing dozens, if not hundreds, of web resources and, content that's out there and trying to draw from loads and loads of sources? Well, that's the idea. So for example, let me see, I did one of these earlier. Let me see if I can copy and paste it in here for you guys. Here's what I did. So I put in something like this. What are some ways that educators can address the concern of students using artificial intelligence to cheat, such as having the AI write their yeah. Good job spelling there, Eric. Their papers for them. The AI wouldn't mind, but I'm embarrassed. There we go. So something like this, that's a deep question. That's not just a simple question. Well, deep research might be a better mode of Gemini to answer that. Well, if I drop that in, basically what's going to happen is Gemini is going to say, okay, let me put together a plan here. It's going to say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to search for all of this. I'm going to research this. I'm going to explore this. I'm going to do this. Does that sound good? Is that a good plan? If not, I can edit the plan. If I'm happy with it, I can hit start research and away it goes. Now, this may take a while, so we may not see the response here too quickly. I did this earlier so I can show you a response from a different one. But the point is, it's now going to go out and it's going to read dozens of websites, and it's going to build this. Here you go. See, it's fine. Look, it's finding all of these websites. It's going to read every single one of those, and then it's going to try to synthesize from all of them a much more sophisticated response than just a quick answer there. So we'll let that kind of do its thinking. Let me see if I can find one that I did do. Here you go. So this is on, again, my personal account. So I asked the same question and it did all of that work, and here's what it created. So this is a much more detailed response. And you can see I'm scrolling through pages and pages of content. So it's not a quick little blurb of an answer. This is a report that it has generated after reading dozens and dozens of websites to pull together this overall report on dealing with academic integrity. So if you have a question that's a little more sophisticated and you want something that's more of like a report on it, deep research is a great tool for that. Now, ChatGPT has the same thing. There is a deep research feature in ChatGPT. The difference is that's part of the paid version of ChatGPT, whereas now this is in the free version of Gemini, which is really nice. I did ask ChatGPT to do some deep research for me on the same question. And you can see this is what that looks like. So here's ChatGPT's version. I asked it the same question. It asked me a few follow-ups. I answered those, and then it generated its deep research response as well and gave me a list of all of the sources that it read, which is way down at the bottom. There we go. And there's the sources that it read from. So, so that's really nice. Free. Just free. That is now part of Gemini. You are allowed to use that as needed. And then the other thing, that's it for this one. There's more coming. So from this one, gems are free and deep research is free. So awesome. That's good stuff. What else? Because again, there's a lot that's free here. Let's see. So that's what this next blog post is. It says the same thing. These are just two blog posts that cover the same content. This also covers deep research, and this also covers gems. So it's not like a different thing. This next one here, this one isn't for education. So just heads up, this is with a personal account. They might bring this to education. So I'm going to mention it just because maybe they're testing it with personal accounts first, and then they're going to release it to education accounts. Just quick heads up, this one here is that when you are using a personal Gemini account, like a personal Gmail, there's now a switch you can flip where you can say, I want to do, or there's an option you can choose where you can say, I want personalization with the responses. All that means is when it goes to answer your response, it is allowed to look at your search history in Google. And so basically, if I were to ask it something like, what is a movie you think I might enjoy? I could probably actually just do that right now. So I'll come here. If I were to go to personalization, and if I were to say something like, what is a new movie I might enjoy? Based upon things I search for, it's going to try to assess what it thinks I might like. Well, you might like Oppenheimer, which I did. I actually watched that, so that one, good. It's a good suggestion, but I've actually already seen it. But yes, they're correct. So at the moment, just heads up, the personalization that is only available on personal accounts, not education yet. The next thing, though, is available for education. I knew there was more coming here. So these next two blog posts go hand in hand with each other. This one says new ways to collaborate, and the next says try Canvas, a new way to collaborate. So both of these go together, and these are free for everybody. So what are the things here. Okay, so a couple of new things. One is they've added a feature called Canvas to Gemini. And the other is they've added audio overviews to Gemini. So just like in NotebookLM. So these are two new things that now are also free as well. So let me explain them as to what those are. So let me find find my Gemini and bring it over. So I'm going to bring my school account back over here real quick. All right, so, and let's go back to normal Flash. Okay, so notice now when I go into Gemini here, there's a Canvas button at the bottom. Okay, so what is that about? Okay, so basically let's do the Canvas thing first. What this does is when you put a prompt in, if you click Canvas, when you do that, it is not going to give you the response in the normal way you see on the screen where it just puts the response below your request. Instead, it's going to open a special window on the side. And in that window on the side, that's where it's going to generate the response. But because it's in a side window, it allows for more customization. Now, if this sounds familiar, yes, actually, other tools do this. Claude was the first one to do it. Claude has something called the artifact window. This is the same thing as the artifact window. ChatGPT does this. They call it, oh shoot, I'm drawing a blank now. I don't remember what they call it now. They call it Canvas. Actually, yes, they use the exact same word. It is called Canvas in ChatGPT. They use the exact same word. So basically, this is Google catching up with what the others did, but I'm glad they have. And so let me just show you really quickly the idea behind this. I'll keep this very, very simple. Let's say that I need to ask ChatGPT, or excuse me, Gemini to help write a newsletter article for high school parents on suggestions for how to get them ready for the upcoming Ohio State tests, blah, 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 blah. Well, if I pick Canvas as this and I hit submit, instead of it just going blurb and giving me an answer below, aha, there you go. It's popping it up over on the side here. So I've still got my conversation and I can keep talking to Gemini here, but on the side, it is now generating the newsletter for me. Now, what's nice about this is very interactive over here. I can literally come in here and I can change it. I can delete, I can add, I can edit right inside of this, and it's aware of any changes I make. It realizes that I'm making changes. I also have these adjustments on the side. So I can change the length, I can change the tone, I can get suggested edits. So like if I just wanted to change the length, I could grab just this sentence and say, you know what, for this one sentence here, I'd like a more detailed lead in. So let's go change length. And basically, it gives you a slider from short, very short, short, long, and very long. I say, let's just make it a little longer. Boop. And now it's going to take that one sentence and flesh it out a little bit longer. And so now it's more data has been added in there to flesh it out. Again, I can change the tone so I can be more casual or more formal. I can ask for other suggested edits to here. And I myself can just simply, edit this. Here, I'll zoom out so you can see better. I can change bold, italicized bullets. I can go in and just type right in here. And of course, change this to headings and whatever. And I can ask follow-up questions. The point is, I can do all of this collaboratively between talking to Gemini and working on this. And when it's finally done just the way I like it, like, oh, that's fantastic. Now I'm happy with this. Then I can click export to docs and boop, 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 boop. It makes the document for me. And now I'm good to go. So it's just way more collaborative on the writing process. Now, in addition to writing, it also can do other things like coding. This is great for coding. So if I come here and I say, hey, let's do the same thing. Let's do the same thing here for coding. So hold on, let me pull that up. There we go. Let me I gotta find my prompt. I've got a prompt here, I promise. Let me see if I can find it. I have too many tabs. Where's it at? Oh, I found it. Perfect. Okay. So let me copy this. So I could come here and say, okay, let's do Canvas and let's put in this prompt. I'm saying I want you to create an educational browser-based video game called Spelling Snake. Now, if you guys have followed my blog, you saw I did a Spelling Snake video, I don't know, months ago, where basically I used Claude at that point to help me generate a game where the student plays the regular snake game, but they're eating letters in order to spell words. So basically I'm saying I want you to make this Spelling Snake game, and here's how it works, and here's the words I want you to pick from and stuff like that. Well, if I pick Canvas and I hit submit, it is now going to write that code over in the Canvas. And once it's done coding it, I can preview it. I can actually play it live right there in the Canvas. Still working on it. It's still coding it, but let's give it a while. Once it gets done coding it, hopefully it'll do okay. Okay, it looks like it did okay. So here it is. So I could say, let's do medium, and let's do fruits, and let's, oh, no, it's not happy. So I'm going to, yeah, here, let me pull over one. I did one earlier just in case it did that. So, because sometimes things don't work out. So here, let's move this off to the side. I tried this earlier just in case it didn't play nicely live. So here's the code and here's the preview. Okay, there we go. So I could say, let's do medium and let's do fruits. And now there we go. I can now play it. So I'm spelling the word lemon. So L-E-M-O. and N. And then I'll get a new word after I finish this one. And so now I have to spell kiwi. You get the idea. I'll just crash into a wall here so you can see. And there you go. So the bonk, you hit a wall. And so the point is, it's cool. It's not new. You've been able to do this in Claude for like a year, and you've been able to do this in ChatGPT for about 6 months. Google has now added it to Gemini, but that's great. Not only can you have it generate code and test it out, but you can hit the share button and you can just share this as a link, and then anybody can play it. So you can make games for your students, share the link with them, and they'll be able to play the game live. So that's pretty slick as well. So, so those are more things that, guess what, folks? They're free. So Canvas is now free in there. And the other one that I mentioned is the ability to generate audio overviews inside of Gemini. Earlier when I asked it to do the deep research, that's where I did that. So here's the deep research. Underneath there in the 3 dots button, there was a generate audio overview option. I clicked it and it did that. And so here, if I hit play real quick, you'll just hear a clip out of it.
New set of questions, anxieties even.
Definitely a bit overwhelming, I'd say.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's exactly why we dove deep into this really interesting report on AI and academic writing. We want to cut through all the noise and give you the key takeaways. And
so basically what you can do in NotebookLM, where you generate audio overviews, guess what? You can now do that in Gemini as well. You can have it make audio overviews of things like deep research, as well as files that you upload. So that's nice. All right.
Eric, you have a request that you could share the prompts that you created for some of those examples, if you could drop those into the document so that people could try it for themselves.
That. So let me think, where is the best place for me to put this? I'm going to go down to Q&A, and I'm going to add it in there. So I'll just put Eric's coding info, coding with AI info. And so let's do it this way. I've got a couple things. I will put that exact prompt right in there, but I'm going to give you a link. If I go to my blog and I go to my AI tab, which, by the way, you guys can, anytime you want, head over to Control-Alt-Achieve. There's an AI tab right here. If you give a click on that, this is all of my AI resources. Inside of here, I have, for example, this document, Coding with AI. I've got a video tutorial here on Spelling Snake. There is when I did my little Spelling Snake demo, as well as a deeper dive coding with AI, and then my blog post as well. I'm just going to grab my Spelling Snake blog post, and I'm going to drop that in here for you guys. So that would be a good place to start. If you were to pop out to that, this is a 13-minute video that talks you through the basics of that with links where you can play it. And then let me also give you the links to my main coding resource document. There's that. Oops, sorry. I did not grab the whole thing. I thought I did, and I did not. So there is the coding resource document there. And here is my training video from a while back on that as well. Now, with that said, the exact specific prompt that I just used, sure, I'll give you that one too. This was the exact prompt I used. So we'll say sample spelling snake prompt. This is the specific one I just used. I'll just paste that in right there. So there it is. Basically, that was the prompt. I said, create this educational browser game. I told it, how I wanted it to behave, how I wanted it to have speed options, how I wanted it to have these word banks and stuff. So, yep, that's what I used for that. Good stuff. I'm really excited by what that's going to allow. I mean, your imagination can take you wherever you describe. You don't have to know how to code. You describe what is the game you want, or the simulation you want, or the activity that you want, and Gemini can code it. You can test it, and then you can share it, and other people can use it. So, for example, if I grab the one we just did here with Spelling Snake, and I hit share, and I hit link, and I copied the link there. I think I just copied it. I can put that right in here as well, and you guys can play it. So if I come down here to our Spelling Snake one, if I do Spelling Snake playable demo, there it is. So anybody who clicks on that should be able to play that one I was just playing right now as well. All right. All right. What else do we have? Take a quick look. John, did I miss anything else at the moment? I see a few more people said hi. I see a hi from India, a hi from Sweden, a hi from New Jersey. That's fantastic. Thanks for being here, everybody. All right. Let's see. So let me catch back up. Okay. So we're right here now. So the next thing to mention related to Gemini is that now you can use Gemini without signing in. That's pretty cool. This is something that ChatGPT has had available for a while. You can go to ChatGPT, not sign in, and still use it. It's a little limited, but you can use it. The reason I like this, it means if you've got some folks that are hesitant, like, I don't know that I want to sign up for an account just yet. I'm not sure that I want to give them my, email address or whatever. You can try out these tools without actually signing up. So with Gemini, if I were to copy the link to Gemini here, and if I were to open up an incognito window here, and if I were to go to Gemini, I can use it. I can actually talk to Gemini without signing in. So it's not going to have all the bells and whistles, but it will allow me still to interact with it in an incognito window here. So again, if you've got folks that are a little hesitant, you're doing a training, you can say, hey, listen, ChatGPT and Gemini, they both let you use it even without signing in. Could be a nice way to ease people into it. Next up, I did not realize that Google was doing a podcast about Gemini, but they are. And so this came across my radar, this blog post saying, hey, they have a new podcast called Release Notes. Now, maybe it's not new. Maybe it's been around for a long time and I just didn't realize it, but they did post about it. And so I wanted to get that on your radar. If you're looking for another way to consume updates related to Gemini, Release Notes is Google's AI podcast that they put out every couple of weeks. This one from a couple weeks back was catching up on all the new things like, the Canvas tool, all those kind of things. They were hitting all of those most recent updates there. So that's nice. Next up, okay, We're going deeper. Okay. Google has now announced Gemini 2.5 as their latest model. So everything we've been talking about up to this point, every time that I've pulled up one of these, here, let me find this again. There we go. Every time that I pull up Gemini here, I keep talking about 2.0 Flash. You've heard me say that multiple times. That is the default Gemini model 2.0. Well, guess what? They have been hard at work and they are now up to 2.5. Now, 2.5, it may sound like, oh, what's the big deal? Just, another version. To my knowledge, I might be wrong, but I believe this is the first time Google has released a model that on all of the well-known, agreed upon benchmarks has actually made it the #1 most powerful AI model in the world. They've actually taken the lead over ChatGPT and Claude and all the others as of today. Now, give them a week and ChatGPT is going to release a new model. You know how that is. It's always leapfrogging. But I don't know that Google's ever held the #1 spot. With this 2.5 at the moment, this is, to our knowledge, the most powerful, freely available AI tool in the world. And it's amazing. It really is incredibly powerful. So this is their latest model. It has done extremely well on all of these different benchmarks. It is an incredibly powerful model. So if you've had questions where you've submitted, a prompt to Gemini, you're like, it didn't give me the best answer. It didn't quite understand it. Well, and maybe that was months ago. And you're like, I'm just going to use ChatGPT. Well, you might have been using Gemini 1.5 or something like that. Well, they've gone to 2 and now they've gone to 2.5. I would say, come back, come back and try again, because now this new model is exceptionally capable of processing very sophisticated prompts and generating really good content. Now it gets better. Not only have they released 2.5 as their latest model, but they have released it for free users. So within like 3 days, they went from, hey, Gemini 2.5 is available, but it's, only available when they first released this. They're like, yeah, it's only available if you go into Google AI Studio and stuff like that. Then a couple of days later, they said, oh, guess what? 2.5 Pro is now available for paid users. And then the very next day, or later that day, they said, oh, guess what? We're giving it to everybody for free. So in my regular school account, not paid, just the regular school account, if I go to the drop down, look what's there, 2.5 Pro. Look at that. You can use it. We can now try out the latest version. Now, as you can tell, I have reached my limit on how I used it a lot, and I ended up using up all my prompts because this is the free version. So they do cap you on how many times you can prompt it. So use your prompts wisely. I don't know what the limit was, but I hit it because I was doing a whole bunch of experiments with it. On my other accounts, I don't have that limit because I do pay for Gemini on my other accounts. So I can use 2.5 and not hit cap on it. But on the free version, there is a cap. But hey, that's still really good that the absolute most powerful AI model in the world today, if you so choose, you can use for free. Yes, with a cap, with a limit, but you can use it. So good stuff. All right, we have just a couple more Gemini things. I told you, folks, this was Gemini, and a little bit more Gemini this month. Here we go. Enterprise grade data protection. So earlier, way back at the start of this meeting, the question was asked, is Gemini considered a core service or is Gemini considered an additional service? Well, Google has said here that now all Google Workspace for Education users have well, we already know they have the original data protection that's provided. They're saying that now they have added enterprise grade data protection for well, I'm sorry. They said this is what they originally did. They had added this for Education Standard and Education Plus. Now they're saying, rolling out over the next week, we're adding these same enterprise grade data protections to the Gemini app for all education users free of charge. So basically, they're pulling Gemini into that fold of being a core service, which means if you look here, I'll zoom in so you can see. So apologies, I kind of bungled that. So back in October, they said, hey, if you're paying, if you are a Education Standard or Education Plus, the Gemini app has is a core service. Now they're saying, if you, over the next few weeks, no matter what, free users, Gemini will now be a core service protected under the Google Workspace Terms of Service. It is going to be compliant with COPPA, FERPA, and HIPAA. It's going to have the same tech support as all the other core services, and it has on top of that the normal data protections, which means 4 things. The data protections are no human reads your prompts. They cannot use it for advertising. They cannot use it to train future models, and they cannot share it with any organization outside of your school. So this is phenomenal. That means every education user, if you're using a school account, paid or free, does not matter. It is now a core service, COPPA, FERPA, HIPAA compliant, and full data protection. So that's awesome. Good job, Google. I'm so glad they did that. That's going to really help a lot with schools feeling more confident in the use of AI. So that's fantastic. All right. Next up, this is just another podcast episode they did about 2.5, so you can check that out. And then the last thing, this is it. This is the last new thing, and then we'll switch over to show and tell and Q&A. Now, this one did not catch my eye at first, but something in it did. This was a blog post called 5 New Ways We're Helping Students and Young People Learn and Grow with AI. Now, it's a good blog post. Don't get me wrong. It's a good one. But I thought it was just a recap of blog post because they do these frequently, and they're excellent. I'm glad they do them, but they do these where they don't actually announce something new. They just summarize, hey, here's 5 things we mentioned recently. And for the most part, that's what this is. They're like, hey, we've got this really nice, generative AI course, and we've got, this AI experience program. That's not new. We actually have known about that for a while. So that's good. And oh, hey, we've got these Be Internet awesome, things about using AI safely. That's good. Okay. All of that stuff, we've actually known about this. These are not new things. But then this is the one that caught my attention. And it's almost like they buried the lead. But this one right here, I'm going, oh, hold on a second. So notice what it says, bringing Gemini to younger users with supervision tools and controls for parents and educators. What do they mean by younger users? Well, folks, it's already available for 13 and above. So how young are they talking here? What are we saying? Are we saying dipping below 13? Why could we do that? Well, if Gemini is a core service now, you could do that because core services can be used with kindergartners. We can use, core services like docs and slides with kindergartners. Now that it's a core service, how low are we going? It says we've heard from parents, teachers, and child development experts about with the right guardrails, AI can be a valuable tool both in the classroom at home. In the coming months, we're expanding Gemini to younger users. Parents will be able to manage their child's access on a supervised account. And for school accounts, administrators can continue to manage access to Gemini through the Google Admin Console, now as a core service, and soon including younger students' accounts. Oh my gosh. So it sounds like we're going to be able to extend Gemini to kindergartners if we want, with better supervision tools, better controls, and things. So that I'm excited about. So I'm really curious to see how that develops. That would be really a big step forward to say we are now able to provide AI in a way that younger students can use, that is monitored, that is supervised, that is protected, that does all of the things right. Yeah, that I get excited about. So that caught my eye for sure. And that's it. We're going to move on to show and tell and Q&A in a second, but John, I need to take a breather. Whew, that was a lot. So any comments, questions, thoughts on all that's been new in Google over the last month, especially Gemini, but anything else there? Anything else we need to talk about?
We have our friend Matthew Mays from Over Your Way. This is great news for Ohio SDPC work. So,
yes, the student data privacy committee. So all of the stuff that we're doing to make sure that we are agreeing, we're following the student data privacy laws for the state of Ohio. Yes,
I think it really is, and there was, I think AI for students is an area that we're probably going to see a lot more growth into, and it's smart of Google to wrap it into its core product line and allow then for some student data privacy concerns to be alleviated, and maybe like the teacher dashboard. I know a lot of the other tools, and I'm thinking Magic School's rooms and School AI's spaces as good places for students to be, but somewhat limited in scope, I think on purpose. And so it looks like Google is trying to find a way to make that work in their ecosystem as well.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing, they've got the infrastructure, they've got the relationships with schools, they've got really good data privacy agreements, they've got everything in place. They could do this better than anybody if they decide to do it. And it sounds like they're starting to move that direction to say, who's going to be, the first really massive company to figure out how to use AI with kindergartners. Well, I mean, yeah, trust me, I love School AI. I love Brisk Teaching. I love Magic School. I love Mizu. I love those tools, and I will continue to support and share those tools because they have blazed a trail into using AI with younger students in a way that is school safe, FERPA compliant, monitored, etc. Google, though, is starting to lean toward this. Yeah, this could really be a great benefit for schools because they already have that trust, that working relationship with Google. And I'm excited to see. I'm really excited to see where that goes. All right.
And I think it's interesting to see that they have extended this into the free tiers of Google.
Oh, yes. That's so much. I'm so glad. We're starting to see them piloting things in the paid version, but then trickling it down to the free version. Absolutely.
As long as they can continue to find ways to make it viable and make it pay, because I would hate all of these new things to then go the way of exactly the sadness that we exposed earlier in the meeting.
And I think there will still be that moat between free and paid. I mean, like I told you, I do pay. I pay out of my pocket for Gemini on my trainer domain because I think it's worth it to me. And so I'm helping. I'm giving them money every month to be able to use that because I find it valuable. It does things that aren't included in this, and then that could be a whole other discussion sometime if we want to talk about, well, what do you really get with the paid version of Gemini on a school account?
Right.
There definitely are some nice things. I think it's got a ways to go, but it's enough that it's valuable enough for me. I wouldn't necessarily say for everybody else, but I believe it's moving in that right direction. But yeah, I think they have to, though, be competitive. I mean, when ChatGPT lets you upload files for free, well, Google has to do that, and when they've got a canvas for editing code and executing code, well, they've got to do that, or else, that's what competition's good. I mean, they just keep pushing each other. OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, Google, they just keep pushing each other to improve and get better. And so at the moment, we're starting to see the benefit of that. I get frustrated sometimes when we do these meetings and all I keep talking about is paid. I was really happy to be able to share a bunch of free stuff this time around. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
I think what we're probably going to see, what we saw with ChatGPT, is it's not so much the features that are restricted, but the performance. And so, if you have the $100 a month ChatGPT, you notice appreciable speed differences in getting your
Yeah. No,
results.
you're
And
right. You're right.
even the
You're right.
20 is
Yeah.
somewhat. I mean, it's somewhat slow, but it's not
No.
really
Yep.
slow like the free one is.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. That makes sense too. I did see what did Matt throw in here. How long do you think NotebookLM will remain a standalone with the integration of audio overview? I think it's starting a slow crawl to the Google graveyard. Um, Matt, I might have been a little bit quicker to feel that way, except they have monetized NotebookLM. There is a paid version of NotebookLM. Um, so if you are using if the paid version of Gemini with your education account, so for example, if I pull over NotebookLM on my paid version here, you'll notice it is different. So it says plus up in the top, and so I have the ability, instead, I'm going to forget the exact differences, but instead of making 100 notebooks, I can make like 500 notebooks or something, or 300 notebooks. I don't know. And instead of having 50 sources per notebook, I can have, I think, 300 sources per notebook. And then I can do other things, like I can share a notebook where I can share it with viewers. You can't do that in the free version. I can create a notebook and I can share the notebook so viewers can ask questions of it. Basically, I can build a self-service AI chatbot where I could say, hey, parents or students or whoever, click this link anytime you have a question about, like I uploaded all of our eSchool Plus training materials. Well, I could now say, let's share this as a viewable notebook, and anybody who needs eSchool Plus questions, they could go here and chat with it. And then that would allow, but here's the thing. You can definitely share in the free version, but you can only share edit rights. So when you're sharing it, people can change the notebook. This allows me to share it so that people can just chat. I can say chat only version of this. So they can't make changes to the notebook. They can just talk to the notebook if I wanted to. So that's really nice. So it does look like they are seeing NotebookLM as a financially viable tool in and of itself. Many of its capabilities are showing up in other tools, but it does look like at the moment it's still robust enough that they've made a paid version of it. So I'm curious to see what comes from that. All right. Excellent. All right. Well, with all that said, let's hit some show and tell and Q&A here. So during the show and tell section, basically we're going to share things that didn't fit into the updates. So, hey, I came across this really cool Chrome extension, or I came across this really cool new podcast, or a neat tool, or here's a awesome PD session I did, and here's the slideshow for it, whatever. There's lots of possibilities here. Anything that you want to share, that's the idea. John, I don't see anything in your list, so would I take it that at the moment, nothing to show and tell this time around?
I just put one thing in there, which is, Eric and I were fortunate enough to meet up last week on Thursday at the OECN United conference, and also Matthew Mays, who's been in the chat, was there, and he shared and reminded in his session that he did a wonderful session on Canva and all the AI tools in there. But he shared about Teacher Server, which is a project, I believe, from some nonprofit. Do you know anything about it?
It is from, so here, I'll put my link into it as well. So it's from the University of St. Petersburg in Florida.
Gotcha.
So here's the blog post I did a while back. Let me grab it, and then you guys can supplement with this if you want. So this will take you out to the blog post on it back in November. I think I had shared about this. But yes, please go ahead and chat about it. Yeah, it's from the University of St. Petersburg in Florida.
So again, the idea of if you're trying to introduce AI tools to your teachers. And I think the first step in that process, like it or not, is to destigmatize the fact that you're using AI. And the best way to do that is by providing them with tools. Although it's interesting, Eric, because I don't know that we have to destigmatize teachers pay teachers, although some would argue that using stuff like that is probably I don't know, lazy at best. But if you're teaching something new and you're in a hurry, well, by golly, you're going to find whatever you can to satisfy that requirement. Well, this is the way to have AI help you by using some custom tailored tools, and they're designed more around specific topics or subject areas. And these are just little AI chatbots that will help you to get a task done. Very, I think, similar in a lot of ways to the magic tools that Magic School has.
Oh, absolutely.
You want to make a lesson plan. Well, it's got a template for how to make a lesson plan, and a drop-down menu that tells you what you can choose, what grade, what subject, put a few other things in there, press a button, and boom, you've got what you need. And I think to generate starting points for you, especially if you're teaching something new or for the first time, or you want to change things up, and then it's got the standards there built in. I'm not sure if we have all of the Ohio standards in there, but certainly some of the more common ones from around the US are in there. And AI is a great starting point. And this thing is totally free. So while it is still available and still free, I think shining a light on it. And thank you, Matthew, for reminding me again. So I just thought it was actually, I was reminded because it's one of the tabs that's still open in my browser from last week, because guess what?
Yeah.
I never close my tabs unless I absolutely have to. So that is my one and only.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm right there with you. I agree. This is a great tool to get on teachers' radar if they're used to using something like Magic School, EduAid, Almanac, things like that, which I kind of call like prompt tools. Basically, they meet you halfway. That's the same idea. So you're right. Come here and say, oh, I need to create a worksheet or a lesson plan, or I want to make, a rubric. Well, you come in here and you say, what's the grade level? What's the standard? What's the assignment? What's the description? If you just autofill it, you can see real quick, and you hit generate. And then, it takes your key items, and then it generates, in this case, the rubric here for you based on that. Now, you may say, well, Eric, Magic School does that. So does all these others. Why do you need another one? And I think it's two main things. You hit on a big one. It's free. I mean, like really free. This is not a company. This is not a paid service. This is from the University of St. Petersburg in Florida. And so this is grant funded and supported by the university. And so they're not trying to make money on this. This really is a free tool for teachers. The second thing is the quantity. Magic School has like 100 of these AI prompts. They have over 1,000. If you say, hey, I'm a science teacher, guess what? They have 215 pre-made science prompt tools. It's a great way to say, well, I'm not even sure what to do with AI. Come here, look at these, 160 for social studies, 50 for math, 66 for reading and writing, 60 for art, music, PE, 38 for special ed. This is a great way to just get teachers starting on, oh, what a neat idea. Yeah, that would be helpful. So especially for somebody who's new to AI, it's a really great on-ramp to broaden their horizon while, guiding them and saying, okay, listen, you don't have to come up with the prompt. Just tell us what's the grade level, what's the historical period, what's the debate topic, and boom, it's now going to generate that for you. So that's nice. All right. Oh, I did see Tina said, I haven't found many AI tools for administrators. Okay. So they do have a leadership category here. So that one is helpful. It's not giant. There's 20 in the leadership category. They do have that. But let me do this for you, Tina. Remember I said that if you go to my blog and you go to the AI tab at the top of my blog, that'll bring you to this page. I have recently posted this guy. AI for admins. This is a training session I do that's all about using AI for administrators. And I'll go, I can put the link, I can copy and put this somewhere. I don't know where you want me to put it. I can drop it into our chat here, I guess. I'll just add it. I'll just add it here. I'll just put it here. I'll just drop it in there. So that is a newer session I've been doing. I've probably done it. Oh, I'll drop it into the chat here as well. I've probably done this one 4 or 5 times over the last couple of months. And basically it just does a deep dive into creative ways to use AI for administrators. And we cover, using things like AI chatbots, like ChatGPT, but practical ways to use them with file uploads or without. We talk about prompt tools like Teacher Server, but also Magic School and Brisk with practical examples of how an administrator would use them. We talk about NotebookLM with practical examples of how to use that. We talk about custom chatbots, for example, creating a parent handbook chatbot. We talk about meeting tools. We talk about media tools, more AI admin resources. So feel free to check that out. Again, I've probably done it 5 or 6, maybe 4 or 5 times over the last couple of months. It's one I haven't made a video of yet, so I apologize for that. I haven't had a chance to do the video version, but I will record a video version of this training at some point.
So the only caveat that I'm going to put in there, as I always do, Eric, is that people need to do their own diligence as far as data privacy as it comes to using these other tools.
Oh, absolutely.
And there was a bit of a discussion in the chat, and I can tell you, yes, that the paid Magic School does put all of the information that you're uploading into their own private cloud, and it's not part of the public model. So that's one of the things that you're getting with the paid, and then some integrations with directly with Google tools are also behind the paywall, I know, for Magic School. I haven't looked at the nuances of this literally. Matt reminded me about it on Thursday, and then I was busy on Friday. We had the weekend, and then when it's Monday. So really, like I said, literally, it was a tab that was open. I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should mention that. So
yeah. So I do know Teacher Server is really big about stating data privacy here, full privacy and security, and they have a whole FAQ where they go into much more detail about how the data is never stored or shared, all that kind of stuff. But yes, you're absolutely right. I know we probably don't say it enough. I think we end up feeling it goes without saying, but I'm right there with you. So like when I do this AI for admins, I do a whole section in here where I talk about, AI is not here to do your job. It's here to help you do your job better. I talk about how it's an assistant. I talk about how, let it do 80% of the work, but you have to review, verify, and edit what it generates. You've got to put your personality, perspective, and knowledge into it. So we talk about that. Then I talk later on about, student data privacy and the importance of that, and so yes, this is built into every training session I do as well, and probably a good thing that we do say that, just so that we don't, gloss over the fact of how important that is.
And so, I think the analogy that I draw, if people are saying, well, there's all these different tools, which one do I use? And especially to, I can relate to my wife trying to explain, well, when we go shopping, there are some things that we always buy because we like them at Aldi. And then if we need to go to one of the other stores to find some things that that you can't get at Aldi, it's the same thing with the AI tools. You will have your favorites that will use for certain things, and then you may then just discover something else that's really good at doing what you want to do, and so you might actually change your favorite brand to a different one. But that's the fun of it all, is discovering all these new things and giving them a try.
All right, good stuff. Well, John, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate you getting Teacher Server back on our radar. As far as things I would share, we did have something from the community. Good. Just as a reminder, please keep doing what Brandy did. We will look at these in just a moment. The community show and tell is for you guys to share some of your favorite stuff. So we'll see that in just a moment. Let's pop up to mine real quick. Didn't have as much that I posted on my blog this last month, but a couple of key things that I definitely want to get on your radar. Probably the biggest thing that I covered this last month was my student AI guidelines. This was kind of what I've been working on for months, and I finally got to the point where I was ready to post it. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to dive into that in just a moment, but since it's going to take a couple more minutes, let me just chip off some quick ones and then we'll come back to that, since that really is the main thing I've been working on recently. I did do a small blog post about Pi Day projects. I know Pi Day has come and gone, but it comes back every year. So if next year you want some good Pi Day projects, these are using Google Sheets to do a lot of cool things with Pi, and so you can grab those templates and use those with your students. I also have a webinar that I did recently on Chromebooks. If you want to check that out, I've got that linked in. I believe it's a 1 hour long webinar called Chromebooks Can Do That, where we look at some of the key features that make Chromebooks special, whether it's accessibility, PDF annotation, the screen recording tool, offline access, all kinds of stuff. And so we hit a whole bunch of Chromebook features. If you've got Chromebooks and you're not sure, are you making the most of them? Do check this out. This should make sure that you are really leveraging those Chromebooks as best as possible. And then I was on a podcast recently, the Innovator Insights podcast from GAT Labs. It was a great conversation, had a great time on that podcast. It wasn't just me. This one was me, but I was on another one that was from them that I'll be releasing soon. But this one was just me and Scott chatting, but you can check that out. And we had a really nice conversation on that one. And then, like I did mention recently, here's my new AI for Admins session. And I just did 2 other ones. What did I just put up recently? I just recently did these 2 as well. So actually, all 3 of these are pretty new. So I'll just throw these in and you guys can explore them if you want. Here's one I did on AI for social studies teachers. Here's one for AI for science teachers and one on AI for art and music teachers. So those are in the last couple of months. So if you've missed them, these are 4 of my newer sessions, and all of those resources are freely available there if you want to start exploring some of those. But let's talk about the guidelines, because that really is what, and I promise I won't take a bunch of time, but I just want to give you the gist. And we're at 2:52, so we only have 8 minutes left. So I'm not going to spend much time. So let me explain what this is. So for years, I have been, trying to figure out what would be the best way to help educators develop guidelines to give to their students on the proper use of AI. And I've been training on this sort of thing for the last couple of years. And a lot of times I've been finding really good examples. There are so many people that have done such a nice job of putting out, well, here's what we use, or here's what our school developed, or hey, how about this one? And so I've read loads of guidelines. I've read lots of articles. I've explored a lot of this. And in the end, I said, okay, I think I'm ready to now share something. I think I'm ready to put something together. So what I wanted to do was basically make a template that schools could use for student AI guidelines. But here's my struggle. I didn't want to have something that wasn't flexible. Like if I put this guideline together, somebody's going to say, yeah, this works great for high school, but it's too complicated for elementary. Or, oh, this one's great for elementary, but no, it's not appropriate for middle school. And I finally figured out the only way to solve this is I needed to make 2 things. I needed to make the template, and then I needed to make an AI prompt to go with the template. So they go together. Basically, there's a template that you can make a copy of, and you can modify it. You don't have to leave it the way it is, but it is comprehensive. It covers just about everything you would need to cover at the moment. I'm sure I'll update it over time, but it covers all of the most important things, I think, related to a classroom guidelines for AI. Then there's a prompt that you use in conjunction with it that will take your version of the template and will custom fit it to your grade level and subject area. So let's show you how it works. And I'm going to do this really quick. So here is the template. You can view it right there. This will pull up the template. And then the idea is you would make a copy of it. So you can just go File, make a copy. As with everything I create, it's completely free. Everything is always under a Creative Commons license. If you want to scroll down, that's at the very bottom. It's always a Creative Commons license. You do not need to ask permission. All this stuff is freely available to use any way that you need. So this is the general template. You make a copy of it. So what I encourage people to do, step one, is make a copy of the template and just go through it and edit it, clean it up. If you don't like something in it, take some time, read through my template and make any changes. So what's in the template? 3 sections. Section 1, what is permitted to use with AI? Section 2, what is prohibited as far as uses of AI? And Section 3, additional guidelines that don't quite fit into those categories. Okay, so I thought it was good to start with positive. So the first part of the guidelines isn't don't. It's, hey, here's how AI can help you. So I start off with a whole section on here are ways that you can use AI to support your learning. So these are guidelines for students on how they can use AI. Use it for brainstorming, use it for feedback on your work, use it for tutoring, use it for research, use it for assistive technology. In each case, I explain like, yeah, use it for brainstorming. It's going to help you consider different ideas, but it's not a substitute for your own creativity and critical thinking. Start with your own brainstorming, then use AI to assist you. So this is all positive, how you can use it to help you. Then there's a section on prohibited uses, what you can't do with AI. Don't have it write your essays for you. Don't have it solve all your math problems. Don't have it answer all the questions on your worksheet. So what can't you do? Don't use it to circumvent learning objectives. Don't be over reliant on it. You still need to use your critical thinking, creativity, and skills, and don't use it for deep fakes. Do not use it to impersonate others. And then finally, just guidelines that aren't necessarily like a prohibition or whatever, but more like suggestions like, make sure you cite your use of AI when you do use it. Make sure you document your work. So if anybody ever accuses you of cheating with AI, you've got your receipts. Do things inside of Google Docs so the version history can record the details, things like that. Verify AI. Don't believe everything AI says. Always double check and evaluate. And please don't share private information unless your teacher tells you it's a tool that you're allowed to do that in. Okay, so this is the big document that has all of the stuff in it. Well, what I encourage you to do is take this, and again, step one, clean it up. If there's something you don't like, take it out, add stuff in, modify it, but start with my template. And then step 2, use my prompt to customize it. So at the top of the document is the prompt. So what you would do is you would come in here and you would copy this prompt. And you would go to Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever. I'll just pull up ChatGPT, but it really doesn't matter. We could use any of these tools. And you drop that in. You drop in my prompt. And my prompt says, here is a template document with classroom guidelines for student use of AI. Rewrite this document to make it specific and appropriate for. And this is where you put in. You say, I don't know, for, grade. Whoops, if I could type, that would be helpful. grade 5 science as an example. I'm just using that as an example. Well, now let's do ELA, grade 5 language arts. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But that's the point. You can put in anything here, but I'm just saying grade 5 language arts. So if I say, okay, make this appropriate for grade 5 language arts, rewrite the content at a reading level that would be understandable for grade 5 language arts students, using examples that are appropriate and relevant to such a classroom. This may include changing the length of sentences, using different words, taking out content that's not relevant to this particular grade level and subject area, and adding examples that are. So basically, that's what you do. You put all of that in, and then after you do that, you paste in the template. You paste in your version because maybe you changed things. Maybe you altered some stuff. You come in here and you click and you drag, you grab the whole template with all of the modifications you made, and you simply paste that right below this prompt that says, take all of this and make it appropriate for the grade level that I need, grade level and subject area. And there you go. Now you're going to have something that gets you 95% of the way there. Yes, you still need to tweak it. The final step is now take the final version and give it one more pass. But basically, folks, you're going to be mostly there. So now this is going to be the same content, but it's going to be 5th grade level. And the examples are going to be language arts in this case. So now we're getting the same content, but it's talking about things, that are more specific, like, under feedback, AI can read your writing and help you improve it. You could say, it might say you use the word said a lot. Try using shouted or whispered instead, And so it's adapting it to something that a 5th grader would understand, and it's applying it to your subject area. If you want to see in the blog post, I included 3 examples that I did. I did a grade 3 version, a grade 7 math, and an AP US history version. And they're all drastically different in tone, but they hit all of the same general content and ideas. So that's it. That's the idea. I would love to get people's suggestions to improve this. I'm sure it's not perfect, but I think it's a really good starting point. I'm sure over time, I'm going to modify this initial template. I'm going to find things that I need to adjust in it, but I do think we're at a spot now where we're ready for this step. A lot of schools are saying we need guidelines for our students. I think this can help us get a pretty good distance there. So anyway, there you go. That's my big contribution from this last month on top of these other smaller things. But
excellent resource, Eric. Thank you so much for all your work on this.
Well, I'm glad it's helpful. Please let me know, though, how I can improve it, because we're going to make this better together. So now I'm excited to hear from others. And thanks to Brandy. She added in how students can access AI, Magic School, Brisk, and School AI spaces. So here we have looks like a training document hitting those, which I'm right there with you. Those are 3 of my favorites, Magic School, Brisk, and School AI. I am right there with you. That's awesome. And then under Q&A, we didn't get any questions, so that's okay because we're out of time. So as we start to wrap up here, just a couple of last minute things we want to say. First of all, we just want to say thank you. We want to say thank you so much for taking 2 hours out of your life to hang with us. As a reminder, on the important links tab, there is a link to the sign-in form. If you haven't done that, please do sign in. That way we can record your attendance and we can get you a certificate of attendance for being a part of this. And then don't forget that our next meeting, well, let's see, when is our next meeting? If I go to GEG Ohio and I go to the monthly meetings, it looks like it's going to be sometime in April. I think we got April 29th as the tentative date. And I do say that because it's always possible things will change. I'm taking a quick look. At the moment, it looks good still on my calendar. So I'm hoping we're going to hold that tight as April 29th, but always double check before the event to make sure that that is accurate. With that said, John, did we miss anything? Anything else we need to address?
No, I think we did a good job, and people were commenting in the chat, and I think we covered everything that was there. So thanks again for your work, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in a month's time. It was a busy March. I think April hopefully will be a little quieter.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, hey, thanks again to everybody for joining us. We'll see you in a month, and we'll see you in the GEG email group between now and then. Take care, everybody.
Take care.